Hey, Julie here, and today I'm going to show you how to make this block, and this block is called 5 Flying Geese. It is also a quilt as you piece block, where this side is one color and the other side is other colors. And this is the 6th one in a series of blocks that I've made. Actually, I think it's number 7. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, I've made 7 blocks so far in the quilt as you piece method. And this one here I just finished. It's the right diagonal stripes block. This one is the regular log cabin. And this one is a corner log cabin. And this one is courthouse steps. And this one is the 5-strip rail fence block, and this one is bordered stripes. And all of these are available at my website, PDF download. This one is free. You can download it whenever you want to. And another one that is free is this one. This one is also free. And this one has complete instructions on how I do this quilt as you piece method. It is a new method of quilt making. And if you notice something about all these, it's the same pattern on the back as the front. And each individual piece of fabric has its own batting. So there's 5 pieces of batting in this block, and so on with the rest of them. So today's block is the 5 Flying Geese. And I'm going to show you how to do that, and well, might as well just get to it. All right, so we're going to get started here in just a moment, but I just wanted to go over a couple of things. In this particular pattern, since it's a little bit more fiddly, and we're doing flying geese, and you're going to have little pieces to add to it, I want to really stress the importance of the glue that I use. And primarily what I use is a liquid glue. Where did that glue go? There it is. That I keep in this dispenser. This is the Elmer school glue, and it's the washable kind. And I buy it by the bottle this size, so I can just refill it as I need to. Of course, you know, you can get this from any big box store. Really easy to use, but I bought it in this size because it's a little bit less expensive, and I don't mind refilling this when I need to. And this is a bottle I already had from another brand of quilting glue. Does the same thing. It's a lot less expensive. Now there is another product out there that works just as good. It's just that it's a little bit more expensive, and it's Acorn. And I do have I will have an affiliate link on my website where you can purchase this on Amazon, but it basically does the same thing as this does. It's just, it only comes in this little tiny bottle. And when you actually get the set of these products here, you get this little bottle, which is the glue, and then this bottle is a starch. And this starch pen, this is for regular piecing when you're not piecing the way I piece. And if you have a stubborn seam that pops up and it doesn't stay up, it doesn't stay flat, you put this on the seam, and this really, really does work, because I do make quilts the regular way too. And you put this, you brush it onto the seam, like right on the seam that's popping up, and you put your iron to it, and it'll flatten right out. It's fantastic for that. And this is the refill for that. And I like this stuff so much that I bought a gallon of it. And you can also use it as a spray starch alternative. And I put it in, and I bought this bottle, and I refilled it. I refilled this one with my gallon. So those affiliate links to Amazon are on my website. Okay, so enough about that. Okay, so in this particular pattern, you're going to get a sheet like this with these pieces. It's important that you print this out actual size. Tell your printer you need it to be actual size. And I did this because the sizes are bigger than the 2.5-inch strips. That's what they say to use, and I'm not telling you exactly what they are, because you have to be a member to get this, or redeem 20,000 points, or buy it for $1.99. And these are two identical, just in reverse. So what I did is I cut them out, and I actually taped these two together using double stick tape. You can use glue too. So when you have your fabric face up, you might want, and you want to make sure that you're having the left side, you have the B up. And if you're doing the right side, you make sure you have the C up, and you have your fabrics facing up. If you want to layer them together back to back, then when you do the B or the C, you'll get both at the same time. With me, I actually took the time to cut each one out individually. I used a combination of scissors and rotary cutter to cut my pieces out. And you'll also get this piece of paper. I'm not going to give you the sizes, but the order in which you put this block together is numbered, as well as your patches are also have letters for identification, and that's explained right here on the sheet of paper. And you'll also get full-blown instructions of any tips and stuff, not the actual process that you go through to put these together in the Quilt as You Piece method. That's in the very first block, which is the 5-strip rail fence block. So you might want to download, that one's completely free. You might want to download that one and read how this works, but I'm also going to show you how it works, especially if you haven't seen any of my videos. All right, so here we go. I've already told you about these, and this 1x1 box is the gauge that you want to use after you print it. As long as this says 1x1 and it actually is 1x1, you'll be good to go. So, and I'm calling this particular block 5 Flying Geese. It's simple. And you can do all of these quilt blocks in the regular way of making quilts. That's fine. It works either way. Duh. Okay. So in the Quilt as You Piece method, what we're going to do to get started is I've already gotten all my pieces cut out. It took me a couple of hours, or about an hour or so, to do it last night. By the time I was done, I was too tired to start filming. Okay, so and I've already done the gluing on this one. Basically, I put glue on the back side of the fabric and then ironed it down, and did the same thing with the other side. I put glue here and ironed it down. I only did this to save you a little bit of time. So the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to add these to this side, because that's what's next in the list, and that'll be the front and the back. I'll take it to the machine, do the stitching line. And the thing is, one thing that you need to pay attention to is these templates come with the little tiny corners cut off in such a manner so that you can actually line them up. Like, for example, let's see if you can see this better. You line this up like this, and that way you know that you're going to be correct when you go to flip it up. So let me get started on that. Forgot to plug in my iron. That's a crucial part of this type of quilting. You got to have an iron for every step. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the first 2 geese, and then this time I'm going to do the rest of the geese off camera, because it's really repetitive. And then when I'm done getting all of them pieced and ready for the strips, then I'll come back. Okay? So let's get started. And like I said, I've already glued this one, so this one's ready to go. And with the way that this is made, I really actually have to do the stitching here, do all the flipping, and then do the stitching on this side. So this is a long, tedious process. That's why I'm going to do a lot of this off camera this time. I'm going to use my glue, and it's important that you line it up correctly. Now, to be completely 100% honest with you, I have never done flying geese in this method, but because of the way these are made, I know it will work. Okay, then you put in your piece, your dots, you line up your pieces exactly. And this is the same way as precision piecing. Okay, and then you're going to heat set it. And I usually hold it 5 to 10 seconds just so that the glue is set. Okay, then I'm going to turn it over. And this should line up just perfectly. In fact, it's actually a good idea to line it up with the piece that's behind it for some reason. Okay, it should still work. Anyway, like I said, I had taken the time to cut each one individually out. All right. And I'm lining up the front and the back so that they're the same here. That should be fairly accurate. Okay, now I'm going to take it to the machine and do my 1/4 inch seam allowance, or do my 1/4 inch stitching. Okay, it's been stitched, and then you flip it over and you tug on it a little bit. And another thing to mention is when you do your stitches, you want to make sure that you set your stitch length to 3.0 instead of the normal, because you're going through 5 layers, you know, batting, and 4 layers of fabric and 1 layer of batting. Important. Okay, flip it over, tug the other side. And basically what you're doing is releasing any glue that went outside of the seam line. All right, then the next thing to do is you open it up, and you want to do this before you add in the next patches. Is you're going to go in, you're going to add your batting, and you're going to do a zigzag stitch right here, all the way down. And like I said, I've never done the flying geese, so hopefully it'll go well. So this is the correct way that you want to make sure you do it. And when you go ahead and cut these out, you might want to oversize them and then trim them. I just didn't. But you can do that. By all means, you can do that. And when I come back, I'll show you what to do next. But the stitch length for the zigzag should be 4.0, and the stitch width should be 6.0. And I'll be right back. Okay, so it's been stitched on, and make sure that when you are adding your piece and you're zigzagging, make sure it's on correctly, that you're putting the right one on there. You can get easily turned around. So I'm going to go ahead and do this thing where you flip it over and you glue it down. So I'm going to be using my glue stick for that. Amazon Basics makes these. They're not paying me to do it, but I do provide affiliate links to this product. Right now I couldn't find it in the 30 count box, but I will provide a link to the 60 count box. Hopefully that'll be up by the time you see this video. Alright, so there's that side. I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing with this side. I'm just going to flip it over. And I'm not going to bother trimming the sides until I have all 5 flying geese together. And I'll do that on the camera. I'll trim it. Okay, flip it over. And I didn't bother doing any quilting on this. I don't think it's necessary. The pieces are small enough. All right, so the next one I'm going to be putting on You got to make sure that it's lined up correctly, flip it over, glue it down, and make sure it goes beyond where you need it to be. So that way it will do its thing and line up correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and do my glue. Line it up. Okay, turn it over. Do the same thing with this side. Make sure that you have it, correctly oriented. Again with the glue dots. And yeah, this one was not completely precision, so I'm lining up the underneath. I didn't actually precisely cut that to where it needed to be, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this to the sewing machine, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the second piece is on. I'm going to press it to set the seams. And this time, you're going through 5, 6, 7 layers. Anyway, it still worked. So I do my little bit of tugging to make sure that the glue has been released. All right, and then the next step is to make sure that I go and do my batting piece. And what you can do is, before you go ahead, to make sure that you have it lined up correctly so that you can trim it off later, you can do that and trim. You just want to make sure that where you start, you pull it forward a little bit. And we'll see it's a little bit oversized, which is a good thing. It's a good thing that you cut your pieces of batting to the same exact size as the pieces you're sewing together, so that you have something to trim. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, go to the machine, and I'm going to mark where I want to make sure I line this up, just to be on the safe side. This is where I want to start, because that corner lines up, and it's a little bit bigger than I need it to be, which is perfect. So I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to do the zigzag stitch here. Okay, so I have gotten that on there, and it does seem to line up pretty good, enough so that I can trim it off here and trim it off here when that time comes. So I'm going to go ahead and do the glue thing. So make sure you leave comments in the, please leave a comment below. I really want to hear from you. I want to know your ideas. I want to know your thoughts. What do you think of this method? And if you have any requests for specific blocks that you want me to try, I will be more than happy to try that. And pretty soon I'm going to be out of this fabric, so I'm going to go ahead and start using other fabrics like fat quarters, and it's not all going to be the 2.5-inch strips that I've been using. Okay, so the next step I want to do is, I'm going to wait until all of them are done before I do any quilting on it. That's okay to do, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do straight line quilting or what, but this kind of kept me up last night trying to figure this out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and trim this up, making sure that I'm 1/4 inch away from my point. So grab my oh, in case you're wondering what batting I'm using, I'll explain that at the end of the video. Let's just get to this here. Okay, and I want to make sure that I have at this point to this point, I just want to make sure that it lines up. I can probably eyeball the seam. See, yeah, I've got a little bit extra. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to line this up with my 1/4 inch and make sure that wherever this falls is the same on both ends to get this to be accurate. So it's going to take me just a moment here. Okay, that looks pretty good there. That looks pretty good there. That is on my 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put my weight on there so it will stay put. And I'm going to trim that off. Oof. Okay, rotary cutter right there. That should do it. And again, I should have a little scrap bucket here. All right, so this is at the 1/4 inch. This is going to be a hard spot to stitch from because it's so thick, but I should be able to do it anyway. So the next one that I have to do, set this aside, pull up my ironing pad, and now it's time to do a blue triangle. The next one here is this. This is what I'm going to work on next. And this goes up here. So again, what you're going to do is you're going to line up the seam along here, and you're going to try to make sure that you catch right there. Precision piecing. Yeah. All right. And you want to make sure that it's centered. In fact, you could probably do this and center your piece. Maybe use a disappearing marking pen to mark that center. Use my glue. Line that up so that it's center with your point. Go ahead and glue. And the great thing about gluing is it keeps your fabric in place. You don't need a walking foot, and basically your piece will stay there as long as it's completely dry. All right, so that should do it. And then heat set it for about 10 seconds. And of course, if you wanted to oversize this piece, you can, the fabric, but I didn't bother. And I do a scant 1/4 inch seam allowance on this. Okay, then turn it over. Do the same thing. Fold it in half. Yes, I'm going to use my pen so I can see it. Lay it down at the point. And then pull it forward. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you a secret code that if you're a member of the website Just Plain Fun at jpfun.com, you can go in and claim 20,000 points, which you can then use to redeem those points to get this pattern for 20,000 points. But you can't get it unless you're willing to pay $1.99 for it, or become a lifetime member at the $8.95 per month level for 12 months, or $95 forever, one payment. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go to the website. No, I'm going to go to the sewing machine and do my 1/4 inch seam allowance. Hang on. Okay, so it's been stitched, and I'm going to do the tuggy thing. Okay, do the tuggy thing again, and check out that point. I don't think you can get any better than that. That's pretty good. Oh, that one's even better. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a preliminary press. And I already pre-starched my fabrics. That's why I showed you that stuff, because I actually pre-starched it with this bottle of starch, just so it would be easier for me to cut the fabrics. That's why they seem to be a little stiff, because they've been starched. Okay, so the next step I got to do, or I'm going to do, is I'm going to go ahead and put this on there. And as long as this goes out beyond where I need it to be, all I have to do is be careful with my edge here, and I can pretty much, because it was cut the exact size, it's actually bigger than I need it to be, which is a perfect thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do the zigzag here, and then I'm going to take you through one more set of these, and then I'll do the rest of them off camera. So I will be right back doing the zigzag. And a reminder on the zigzag, the stitch length is 4.0 and the stitch width is 6.0. Or, you know, I can go 7.0, but it's not necessary. So do the widest that your machine can do, and if it's 7, actually do 6. Okay. Okay, so that is actually zigzagged on, and it's ready to be glued and pressed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And then I'll show you trimming it and getting it ready for the next 2 pieces. And then it will be so repetitive after that. I think I'm just going to let you watch it grow. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to try to keep this video as short as possible, so yeah, I'll do the rest of it off camera. And if you need to see exactly how it's done, just rewind and watch this section of it. So I need to trim this off. And again, I haven't done any quilting. I don't think it's necessary. I'll do straight line quilting, maybe this way, before I add the sides. Okay. Go ahead and do the trimming. And I'm going to trim it down to the fabric. Let's see. Where's my pattern piece? See, maybe I should actually cut, now that I've used this, maybe I should cut it down. Yeah, we're good. Okay, so I'm going to cut it down to the edge of the fabric. That should do it. It's a little bit harder to do this one, but that's okay. Oh, I need my... Basically, you want to cut off the batting. Yes, and you want to make sure that you leave that 1/4 of an inch down here. So hopefully this will line up correctly. The next step is to add these 2 pieces. Okay, so we're going to do this one. And we're going to do this one basically the same way. If I did it right, it should line up correctly. Heat set it. Flip it over. So you want to make sure that it's going to be oriented correctly. That should line up correctly. And what you're going to do is you're going to do your 1/4 inch seam allowance, stitch length 3.0. Now it's a little bit harder to line this up, so that's why it's crucial that you line up the seam itself. That's why these little notches are so good. Now, I would think that if you have an AccuQuilt or a Sizzix fabric cutter system or something, those pieces would probably be perfect for this type of project. The problem is that I don't have one. I've been cutting all this stuff by hand. Hopefully that will be changed in the future, though. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and we're going to do the tug thing. That's pretty cool. I think I did it. Flying geese works. All right, flip it over, and look at that. It looks like the fabric lines up. That's exactly what I wanted to see. Okay, so let me double check the other side. Oh, look at that. You can't get any more accurate than that. That's exactly what I want to see. Okay, so again, I'm going to go ahead and do the zigzag, and I want to make sure that I've got this oriented correctly, which it looks like I do. So I've got a little bit of leeway. I could go like this a little bit, just as long as all of the batting or all of the fabric will cover the batting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take this to the sewing machine and do my 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to try to line this up with this, and I'll be good. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm done with the zigzag on that one, and I'm going to go ahead, and since I already did the tuggy thing and the iron thing, I'm just going to go ahead and do the glue thing. All right, and we all know that that's perfect on the other side too. Yeah, that's really good. The importance of accuracy in cutting, and I do like the starching. That really makes a difference. Now let's hope I can do this 2 times in a row with this point here. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do for sure is I'm going to snip off that little bit that sticks out, just so that this next piece will line up correctly. And that's something that you want to make sure that you actually do. Just snip it off, so that way things, you know, they won't get in the way. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this side. Get my glue, move that over because I don't need it yet. And this should work out just as good as the last one did. Line up that little doohickey, the little jog in the fabric. Line up the edge. pat it down just a little bit so it makes contact with the glue, and then press in place. Impressive. I'm kidding. I'm not good at jokes at all. All right, flip it over. My feeble attempt at being witty. All right, make sure that we're oriented correctly, and we go like this. So I'm thinking YouTube makes it possible to do polls, and I was thinking that maybe I would do a poll on what would you rather have, what would you rather see? Me go fast forward through all of the steps so that you can see the whole thing grow, or doing a lot of the repetitive stuff off of camera and then showing you each step completed, basically. I'm trying to teach you a new method of making quilts, and I want you to be able to get everything out of it, but it's also boring if you're watching repetitive stuff. So I'll put up a poll, and hopefully that'll be lined up correctly. Okay, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and do my 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm done with that, and the point here looks good, but you know what? I don't think I have the points here correct. I'm going to lose a little bit of my thing here because I don't have a 1/4 inch. Maybe I do. We'll see. All right. So that side works. Oh, well, maybe we'll be okay. But I like these points here. They seem to work out pretty good. Okay, so batting one more time. Make sure it's oriented correctly. And I think right there will work. Okay, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine to do the zigzag stitch. Okay, so that one's done, and since we've already done that part, I'm going to glue it down. And I am going to do the rest of the flying geese portion of this off camera. For the sake of that poll, I want you to tell me which one you like better. So I'll get that poll hopefully onto YouTube before I get this video added. Okay. There goes my iron. Iron this. All right, I'm going to do some trimming. I say that I'll do it off camera, but I'm still thinking I might just go ahead and show it, do a flash picture of each step after I finished each goose, all the way to these 2 pieces, just so you can watch it grow. In other words, let me repeat what I just said in case you didn't understand what I'm going to try to do. Okay, from here on out, what I'm going to do is it'll be here, and you'll just watch it grow as I finish each section. Well, on the pad here. I'll put it here, and you can watch it grow. And I'll do each step off camera, and you'll just watch it grow. It looks a little crooked, doesn't it? Well, I think in the end it'll be fine, but we'll see. Okay, off camera after this one. Okay, so I have reached all 5 of the flying geese, and now it's time to trim the sides and put these 2 pieces on. So let's get ready to trim them up. Okay, and there is my rotary cutter. Okay, so I'll line this up, and I want to make sure that my little points here are a 1/4 inch away, which I don't know if I'm going to get that or not. I'm going to try, and I'm hoping that when I'm all done with this, I will be at 10 by 10 inches. I should be. That looks pretty good. I'm going to put my weight on it. I'm going to trim both sides. Why not? All right, let's see how I did. Well, I hope I can compensate for that. It's a little off down here. Well, yeah. Okay, do the other side. Maybe what I'll just do is I'll worry about the width first. Well, the width. I know what the width needs to be. So let me see. I'm going to see if I'm actually there after I cut. And I'm a little bit over, so that's actually a good thing. So I'll trim up this side. Yeah, I'm definitely over. And that one is spot on, right where it needs to be. So I'm going to trim down here. Let's see how far I'm out. Oh, okay. Well then, that'll do it. I think before I do that cut, yeah, we're there. I'm going to follow that line on my grid on the cutting mat. I usually don't like to follow the cutting mat because it's not as accurate as a ruler, but I'll make an exception. Now, if you want the measurements, you're going to have to download the PDF. And like I said before, it's $1.99 if you're not a member. And if you are, and you're not at the gold level, it is 20,000 points. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm not going to bother trim the top and the bottom yet. I'm just going to get these strips on and go from there. So you've seen what I've been doing, and I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through these two stripes to get this done. Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I've been doing in this video, just showing you the steps. Okay, so the square is done, or the block is done, except for the trimming. And I'm going to bring out my big ruler for that. That's right here. And I should be able to get an accurate 10 by 10 square. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to get my rotating cutting mat right here. So I want to be able to see it all the way around. And I'm done with the iron, so I can unplug that. Oh boy, this is great. All right, so I want to be 1/4 of an inch away from the bottom if I can. And I want to be centered on this if I can. That looks pretty good. Let's turn this around and check the other side. I'm going to miss that. So I think it's more important that I get my 1/4 inch up here. So I'll do that. Yeah, I don't mind losing that down there. Okay, that's on the 1/4 inch. That's good enough. This was not the easiest thing I've done. Okay, now I'm just trying to straighten this line out. Those look pretty straight. In fact, I think I'm going to scooch it over a little bit. That looks pretty good. See, I have these lines on there where they need to be. Yeah, I'm good. Okay, I got 1, 2, and 1/4. That's what I want. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put my weight on it. Not my weight, this weight. And I'm going to go ahead and cut it up. Well, cut around it. So I hope you like this format of video better than the last one I did. I'd like your comments on it. Please put some comments in the comments below and tell me what you think. I really want to know about, you know, did you like the video? If you did, go ahead and hit the like button. If you want to see or get notifications of when I add more blocks to this channel, hit the notifications button. And you actually do have to go into your settings and go in and check off the type of notifications you want, like if you want them on your cell phone or whatever. I guess they're not doing it by email anymore. They're doing it by cell phone. Those little notices that you get on your cell phone if you have a smartphone. Okay, so this is it for the block. And I want to thank you for watching. And until next time, you can watch for the next block that I make. Yeah, it's a little off, but you know what? It's my quilt. I'm not giving it away to anybody. It'll be fine. I like the fact that did pretty well on these points. And believe it or not, this is the most complicated square I've made so far. Not a beginner block by any means. You do have had to have a few blocks under your belt first before you accomplish something like this or try something like this. But anyway, thank you for watching, and until next time, thank you and have a great day. Goodbye. Oh yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Okay, one more thing I wanted to talk about, the quilting. I decided I'm not going to do any quilting in here because the pieces are small enough. I don't think it's necessary. But I did do the two 1-inch apart lines here, and then I did do the stay stitching all the way around, all at 3.0 for stitch length. Okay, thanks again, and have a great day. Goodbye.